Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Stories That Inspire Us. Today's podcast, oh my gosh, I'm really excited to get the conversation started. I am your host, Gianna Smolillo. Stories is a very important segment of my life, as everyone knows, honoring and respecting those journeys that have brought us to a point where life isn't perfect, life isn't pretty, yet here we are in this moment, in this time. So without further ado, I am excited to welcome the infamous Nadia Kauss. Welcome to the Stories Podcast.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. I'm as excited as you are. And I agree with what you said. Stories is very important to share stories. I agree.
It really is, Nadia. And I think in this day and age, especially over the last 2 years, I know that when we spoke on our pre-podcast chat, many of us had so many different challenges thrown at us all at once. And many people, many entrepreneurs such as yourself and me have really taken that passion kind of a step further. So I just want to back up a little bit. And excuse me, you obviously are the author of The Magic of Transformation, Igniting and Manifesting Your Soul's Desires, but your passion really, which prompted your book, Soul Health and Divine Self-Expression.
Yes.
Let's back it up a few. Like tell me how all of this came about for you, because there's a story behind that story.
There is. So The Magic of Transformation, Igniting and Manifesting Your Soul Desire is a memoir / self-help reflection book. And it was a book that I wanted to write. The first whisper of my soul, the first whisper of my heart, where I'm like, I want to write a book, was in the year 2000. But the stories weren't lived yet. The book wasn't ready to be written. So it took some time and it wouldn't let me go like so many soul desires and soul wishes do. So I finally wrote it when the pandemic hit, because at the time I was still working as a corporate health coach and I switched from being on site to working remotely, which opened up all this time because I was, it's different working remotely than being on site. And I started writing the book and I published the book. And what started happening is that my soul desire and heart's wish opened up this whole new door that sometimes I giggle and laugh and say, if our personality would know what it means, then the personality would say, no, don't go there, don't go there. And it ended up being my memoir, but also I came out of the spiritual closet because I work with the Akashic Records. And it's the first time, so I'll explain what the Akashic Records are, but that's the first time I mentioned any of my journey. It started as a teenager. So there's this whole, you are absolutely right when you say that I have so many stories to tell, and then there are stories behind stories, but they all have to do with the magic of transformation.
And I love that. Now, and I just want to let our listeners and viewers know we have some audio background things going on. I'm not in my usual place. You may hear drills, you may hear dogs barking, and this is the beauty of live podcasting. But Nadia, going back to what you said, it really was so many years in the making. And through the pandemic and being at home, you found an opportunity like that was something deep inside realigned for you and ignited your writing passion. And, just think about all that for a moment, where you were in that moment in time when it struck you, as I've often explained how the Stories podcast came about. And I think that's very poignant. And looking at it from a spiritual side, I think there was more to it than meets the eye, meaning, okay, this is something that you've always wanted to do. You've put your heart, your soul into what you do, but you knew there was something more.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question is, because I think a lot of people who are at that point where they know, like they know there is something more.
Mm-hmm.
How does one, in your opinion, go about doing that?
Yes. I also just realized that I was so excited that I didn't fully answer your first question. So I answered the question of how, the book came about and how it opened up this whole new world, because I publicly, when you write a book, I mean, you're public. So I came out of the spiritual closet because there's a chapter in the book that is the book of life. And that's what the Akashic records are referred to. And now I can kind of explain what soul health and divine self-expression mean to me. So I was working as a corporate health coach because I went to school for it. Health is a passion of mine, but it's always been holistic health, which means the whole spectrum, the all-encompassing spectrum of who we are as a human being. We have a body, we have a mind, we have a heart, and we have a soul. And in the corporate world, well, that's not the case. That it's like, you're a body that's broken. We need to fix you. You need to take medication to fix lifestyle situation. So it's not about transformation at all. And when we do not express who we are at soul level, every single one of us has a soul's gift. And that's that whisper that you're referring to, where people are like, oh my gosh, there's got to be more to life. There's got to be more meaning, more purpose. We all have a spiritual gift that wants to self-express through us. That's the divine self-expression part. And soul health is just when you divinely self-express who you are. And I get goosebumps as I'm saying this, you automatically become more vibrant, more radiant. You start taking better care of your body because you see your body as the temple to your soul. And then I just had to come up with a new term so I could talk about it. And now I talk about soul health. And I started my Soul Health Mentor podcast to do that. But that, I hope that answers a little bit the nudge that you were giving me. It's so deep. So I'm trying to be succinct.
It is so deep. And, I don't know if you know this, but I'm also a certified health coach. And I have found that, especially with my most recent journey and everything that I've been through, looking through a different lens in the sense of, okay, what happened was pretty crappy. Never would want my son to go through what he went through. But for me, I had to make more sense and meaning of it. And you touched on something really important there, the soul health. And it was when Ryan had said to me, Mama, you got to take care of yourself. And to me, that was my signal, but it meant so much more than just what Ryan and I were going through. It was such, I want to say, on a divine level, and tapping into the soul health in such a way to, take care of your self-care and what your passions are, even in the midst of a tragedy, even in the midst of so many different things going on. And I think that is really the power retrieval process.
It is. It is.
You know where I stole that from?
Where did you steal that from?
Your bio.
I am so glad you touched on that, because it is literally a soul realignment power retrieval process to claim our spiritual gifts, because we have been conditioned to function in a society. And while that all had its place, it is completely outdated. And I saw it every day as a corporate health coach, how everyone was struggling, everyone was stressed out, everyone is having unhealthy patterns, addictive patterns, because they're just trying to cope with life, including myself. So as the corporate health coaching job was the most stressful job, and I've had a few, but it was the most stressful job I've had in my entire life. And I would hear myself give the advice when we were doing the health coaching that the environment wasn't conducive to being healthy, that I would hear myself say to participants, well, you know, sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is change job environments. And then I took my own advice. And then when the pandemic hit, I'm like, I need to build something new. This is killing my spirit. It is killing my soul. And I'm giving my power away to outside sources. That's why it's a power retrieval process to say, I have gifts to share with the world. And this environment is pretentious, illusionary, saying they care when they don't. There was agendas behind what I was supposed to do. It wasn't real and heartfelt.
And that is so important to realize because, you know, and I just want to say that we don't, you know, people have to work. We know that. We need to take care of our families. We need to pay our bills. And, you know, starting something as an online business does take a lot of time, does take a lot of desire. But if the desire is there with the potential, maybe even starting out a little bit with trying to get what you are passionate about up and running, to do it in a way that is conducive to your current lifestyle, it can be done.
It can be done.
And, you know, I know for me, I was, you know, laid off and I was in the process of starting my online business, and then boom, you know, I wasn't expecting to be laid off. But in any event, it's all about, you know, looking at what we're so fully meant to do. And if that passion is there, you can get it done. And I think maybe some people are, I don't want to say afraid, but there is a fear associated with that when you become your own boss.
Yes. Could I touch base on that?
Absolutely.
Because everybody talks about the comfort zone, and in the online space of entrepreneurship and mindset and personal growth in that area, everybody talks about the comfort zone and mindset. But what I think is missing is explaining what's actually happening. So the comfort zone is the zone where you are safe and secure. And from the perspective of soul, there is your personality that is actually here. My favorite quote is by Gary Zukov that says, a personality that comes fully to serve the energy of its soul. That is authentic empowerment. Because when your personality is here to align to your soul desires, then your ego is still there. And your ego is that part where it's the primal kind of part of you that wants to protect you and safe. And we used to live in very dangerous environments. So whenever you step outside of the comfort zone, you step into the fear zone, because like, oh my gosh, the bears are out there. They're going to kill me, because it's unknown. And nobody talks about, they talk about the fear. They talk about, you know, push through and mindset, but it's not very compassionate. And if we don't know what's happening, we're going to go back into our comfort zone because it's really scary to step out. But when you have a desire, and that's why I like to talk about soul desire and heart's wishes, my soul desire and heart's wish was stronger than any fear. So that desire pulled me magnetically into the growth zone, because that's what lies behind there's comfort, then there's fear. And when the desire pulls you forward into growth, then you learn new skills. It's scary still, don't get me wrong. You know it. You have to, as an online entrepreneur, you build your own structures and your own system. You're building your own infrastructure to hold your service. But then you get to this place, it's always your why, your soul desire pulling you forward. And then you get to this place of expansion, where dreams are coming true, where you're setting new goals, where you're flowing. And then there's the next growth edge, the next comfort zone. And because I've always been interested in transformation, it started as a young child at 11, 12, 13 through my parents. And that's the stories I tell in my book. And I just love the magic of transformation. I think it's adventure and I want to live life. I mean, it's not really nice when you don't create new experiences. That's my perspective.
That is so true. And, think of the things that I go back to when my sister and I first started our podcast during the pandemic, the Two Sisters, and we share our love of wellness through fitness and nutrition, of course. But there's so much under that wellness umbrella. And I think back to that moment where I had that conversation with her about starting a podcast. And I was the tech guru, and I don't consider myself to be, an expert, but I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this?
I know, right?
But if I had never at that moment in time said, all right, this is scary as hell, but I got to figure this out. Like, we have a lot of stuff to share. And it was exactly how you were explaining. That's how I felt. My fear was less than my desire. My desire was more.
Yes. It pulls you forward and you find these tools, because there's lots of tools that can help you expand and grow and manifest your soul desires. You ignite them. That's the why, that's the desire. And then you honor it by following through. And then life becomes exciting. It becomes exciting because you can look back and you can say, oh my goodness, I still remember that time. And look where I am now. And then life becomes the life where you are the creator of your reality. And when I was in the corporate health coach setting and killing myself to do a job that wasn't real because what was said wasn't in integrity with the agenda that was happening. And I had a moment where I'm like, why am I making other people rich? Why am I letting them abuse my spiritual gift? I'm not going to allow to have a company abuse my talents and gifts for their agenda. And I drew the line in the sand. And that was also such a firm no, this far and not further. So sometimes it's the desire that pulls us forward, but sometimes it's also this like, no, 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 no. Every no leads to a heartfelt yes.
And that is, oh my God, that is so true, because no is a complete sentence and does not need any explanation. That has come up a lot this week.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. It takes practice. So I'm a, how would you say? I think they use the term recovering people pleaser, but I would say I'm now a healed people pleaser because I'm aware of the pattern, and that became really important to know this far and not further.
Right. And I think when you get to that point where you're like, okay, enough is enough. And what you were describing about, how you were where you were in that corporate setting, it didn't align with you, and you were making them richer. They were making money off of you. So when I look back at when I was laid off, I felt exactly that same way. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can do this. Yeah, it's going to be scary, but what choice do I have now? I had to put my foot on the gas pedal, and here we go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what would you say? Now, obviously, after writing your book, what has the feedback been? Because I know that you also share that book with your clients.
So let me think back. So it was pandemic 2020. I started writing the book manuscript. I had written over years, so it was a collection of all I've written, and then I compiled it. I started in August of 2020, and then May 2021, the book was published. And the feedback there was, which was so good for me to hear, I packed my life into a 100-page book, but not just my life into a 100-page book, but major major transformations. So I got help. That's where we need coaches and mentors, because the book kept getting too big, and it would freeze me up and I couldn't move forward. So I got the help I needed, and they did a fantastic job, and they moved me through the process. And my inner critic was screaming in my ear that how bad my book is and how nobody's going to understand what I'm trying to say. But the feedback was, oh my goodness, so relatable, because it's stories. Stories are relatable. And then there's reflection questions at the end where you get to connect to your own heart and soul and your own life journey. So I got the feedback that the book was a gem, that I took something really profound and deep and made it understandable. So that was a highlight. And then I got reviews on Amazon. And so that was great. So that was that first part of the feedback. And then I officially left the corporate world. So May, the book happened. Then I left the corporate world. The 31st of August, 21 was my last day. And I had my first discovery call on August 1st. And then I had to practice that. And how do I talk about my work? And my work is soul realignment, readings, clearings, and healings via your Akashic record. And you can imagine the Akashic record like a universal etheric highway, much like a spiritual Google, where if you ask the right questions, you ask good questions, you get good answers. So what I specialize in, because there's lots of Akashic records workers, just like there are lots of yoga teachers, but what I specialize in is really claiming your secret gift. It's secret because you use it every day and you don't see it as a gift. And it's just kind of, everybody can do it, but it's not true. Every single one of us has spiritual gifts. And so I help my clients discover their gift, and then also what's in the way of their next intention. So that's their next manifestation. So that's the clearing part. And then there's the healing, which is the retrieval of power, right? Mm-hmm. And so I had to learn that. And then the feedback there was also wonderful in the client feedback. So it's been a journey. But there's been many comfort zones and fear zones, new ones.
and that is what's so important, that the fear was there, it was real, but you went forward and anyways. And I love how you mentioned the spiritual Google. Like, I think that is magnificent. Like, think about that for a moment. Like, okay, I want to claim my secret gift. What is it that I do every day? And I kind of kiddingly refer to myself as the organization diva.
Yes.
I'm very good at organizing stuff.
Yes.
Usually.
Yes.
And I claim that, and it feels good to claim that. And yes, I can be a dork, but hey, that's okay. I accept that gracefully.
May I ask you a question? Just
Absolutely.
Because you said organize, because this is the funny thing about our spiritual gift. We take it for granted because we do it every day. And then when we get feedback from the outside world, we're a little bit perplexed and puzzled. We're like, what? Okay. Do people give you feedback in the sense that you have so much common sense when you organize?
Yes. In fact, many people may or may not know this, but I have a 30-year background in the legal field, and I really believe that's where my foundation for organization came from. And from that, I just had almost a sixth sense on how to organize something. Like, for instance, some of my clients would say, here, do something with this. And I'm like, okay. And I would instinctively know what to do.
Yes. And that is a spiritual gift. And I say spiritual because it serves a higher purpose. It can serve growth and expansion. And that's where I found that the corporate setting, the way it's structured right now, there's many systems and structures that are no longer working in our world. It's becoming very apparent. It's very painful. And so there's also these courageous people and souls that are doing the pioneering work of doing new things, new systems. And then when your business grows, it grows. It will also grow in employees or contractors. So we win big, others win big. So I call it a spiritual gift. It's obviously grounded in real life as a human, but it has this ability to transmute and transform for the better, for the betterment of people in the world.
Right. And it really is all about the betterment of the world and what gifts we can offer and how we create that ripple effect. What would you say is maybe something on the horizon for you that you're perhaps contemplating right now for yourself and your business?
Oh, big question. So I'm going to go at it at a different point, from a different vantage point. So there's two types of people. There's types of people that kind of have to discover their dream and have to connect to their desire and are having a really hard time to get out of the box because of the conditioning. And then there's people that have too many ideas. And I belong into the I have too many ideas, like inspiration and creativity and ideas. I never run dry. And my mind will start having opinions about where I should be. But, and here's the big but, when you start an online business, and especially when you start looking for coaching and mentoring and this and that, all you seem to hear is scale your business, scale your business, scale your business. You haven't even started yet. You haven't even got your one-on-one service down. You haven't even got your confidence down. So I am very aware that step by step by step. And right now I'm just really embracing my one-on-one work, and I'm doing my Soul Realignment Advanced Practitioner certification. I'm currently doing a Soul Art certification. The Soul Art certification is very helpful to connect to your intuition, your body, your soul speaking to you, and symbolism in art. You might have heard of art therapy. It's very healing. And so I've got certifications on the horizon. And then I've got these ideas about big things, but I have to quiet the opinionated mind.
I hear you on this level.
And be in the moment and trust my soul and my higher self to guide me step by step by step, from one growth level to the next, to the next.
Right. And that is so true. And, as things have realigned for everyone, myself included, of course, you have to honor that process. And that's what I've come to realize. As much, for instance, as I want to learn how to do funnels, I understand the concept. It's not hooking up right for me. So I hire that out, just saying. And I'm okay to share that with whomever, I'm speaking with. But, really, all right, that's something I can't do right now. But there's so much more that I can do, and I embrace that. And I encourage anyone who's listening to this amazing conversation with Nadia to embrace what you know that you can do without a doubt, that you are an expert at. And that's part of the soul alignment, the soul repurpose.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Absolutely.
amazing.
And I just am really enjoying it. I get lit up when I'm able to tell someone that trusts me and my work and is interested in working with their Akashic record to share with them what their spiritual gift is. Nothing new but it's that confirmation we sometimes need from another human being. Oh, that's special? Really? I didn't think that was special. I'm like, yes, it's special. And you can build a service around it if that's what you want. And you start doing the soul alignment lifestyle. It's for me, it's a lifestyle, and it's something that I get excited to introduce my clients to, and to witness them embracing their gift and creating the next thing for them. So I'm very much enjoying the one-on-one work right now, and the certifications in advancement. So that's my vision right now, and doing my podcast and growing my community. That would be the sole purpose right now, because we sometimes have time frames for this is important right now, then the next step, then the next step. And I'm so grateful for this conversation. It's so wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. And, I obviously feel the same. And wow, this has been so amazing. Nadia, how can our viewers and listeners get in contact with you?
The easiest way is to go visit my webpage, which is nadiakauss.com. It's Nadia with an I, Krauss, SS.com. And you'll see everything right on top. You'll see my social channels. You'll see my podcast. You'll see the book link. You'll see a part where you can see the testimonials of the soul realignment power retrieval process. So I think that's everything in one spot where you can just kind of check me out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And obviously I will make sure that all that information does get in the show notes. Wow, I have so enjoyed this conversation today. And soul health, holistic health, your book, there's just something that is so igniting. I know that my soul's desires are going, adding more to my list, but it's okay. I'll sort it out. It's a good thing. Thank you so much, Nadia, for being my guest, my special guest today on Stories That Inspire Us. And I hope you will definitely consider coming back at some point. Would love to have you on again for sure.
Thank you so much, Janice. And I would love to be back. This was a beautifully nourishing conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hey, everyone, I want to thank you as well for being here today and listening to this podcast. Remember, your soul's desires are there. Sometimes we just need to sit in solitude, and even if it's going over the George Washington Bridge and you're sitting in traffic and an idea sparks your mind. That's what soul desires are about for me. And if you have a story to share, your story is that important. Don't forget to reach out. I would love to have you on as a guest as well. My name is Janice, the host of Stories That Inspire Us. And today I was inspired by the amazing Nadia Kauss. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you again real soon.